Are lawyers in negotiations, are we permitted, or when are we permitted, to lie on our client's behalf?
My favorite question. The rule is Model Rule Professional Conduct 4.1, which says, a lawyer shall not make a material statement that is false with respect to any material fact or law. So notice the lawyer wiggle worms in that, right? What is material? What is a material fact? And what is material law? And to a third person. So does that mean anybody on the other side of a negotiation? To someone who's not involved in the case? So I'll quickly review what we can do. One of my favorite issues. So the black letter rule is what I just told you. You can't make a material misstatement of law or fact. But the comments to Rule 4.1, this is my favorite line. What the rule giveth, the comment taketh away. And the comment says there is 3 specific things that you don't need to be truthful about. You can puff or bluff, believe it or not, in the rules, meaning that nobody expects you to honestly say what your bottom line is or what your value is placed on an item if you're selling something or buying something.
So we won't settle for anything less than $10 million here, even though you know for a fact your client would be happy with $500,000.
Exactly right. And that is the kind of classic example that's always given. And one of the reasons I say this is my favorite comment is the comment says, generally accepted conventions of negotiation are such that we know that lawyers and people exaggerate when they are negotiating. That phrase that I've just given you, generally accepted conventions of negotiation, was put forth by another professor, J.J. White, now retired, but a former professor at Michigan, who said, we know lawyers do all these things. They puff and they bluff, and they won't tell us what they really value, what their bottom lines are. And the ethical rules can't change that behavior because, very important, negotiations are conducted in private. And there are no witnesses. There's you and me. We're negotiating a deal together. And I may say that you lied to me, and then you'll deny it. And it's he said, she said about lawyer behavior. So in 2000, 20 years ago, the ABA said, oh, you're right. We can't possibly monitor this. So we're going to put in our rules an acceptability of generally accepted behavior, which we know is puffing and bluffing and not representing the true value.
So in the rules it says you can't lie about a material fact or material law. What is a material fact?
Well, a material fact, believe it or not, is a fact. There's a lot of case law on this. But for example, what's not a fact that you're allowed to misrepresent or puff or bluff about is your opinion about the value of something. So if I tell you I have this great necklace or I have a great wonderful company that I'm going to sell you, and I tell you in my opinion this necklace is worth this much or my company is worth this much, that's my opinion. And a lot of case law says that's my opinion and I have no obligation to say exactly the value. It's your job as the person on the other side of the negotiation to investigate what the facts are and to determine what you think the value is. I have no obligation to honestly state it.
So I could say that Joel Co. is worth $10 million, even though we don't particularly have any revenue. But in my mind, it's worth a whole lot of money, and $10 million sounds right.
Right.
But how about with relation to projections? Can I say we'll be worth $15 million next year if, my numbers, when I've done internal audits suggest that we'll still be worth, much less?
If you have done an internal audit and you know what the actual facts are, but you say something else, you have now affirmatively and assertively stated an untruth, meaning you know what the truth actually is. That is actionable under state fraud law. So the ethical rules may say you may not make a misstatement of material fact. If you have done that, you've probably committed an act of fraud. That can, in some cases, wind up being criminal fraud. But in a sales situation, it's more likely to be civil fraud.